we'll get started. So today's topic we wanted to cover as part of the VIM holiday webinar series was we're calling it the brand blueprint. That's a little bit of a tongue twister, I guess. But Zlata and I were talking about this as to what we wanted to share, and so what we thought what might be interesting is to give you a little bit of an insight and perspective on what we're doing here at Gooten to build our own brand, and what maybe lessons learned and tips that you can take away from the work that we're doing and apply it into your own business. So that's going to be the topic for today. My name is Mark Kapczynski. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here at Gooten, and I'll be your moderator throughout the whole webinar series that we have. Just a couple notes on that. I'm looking at my notes here. Next week we have our partner Hawk Media, which is a marketing and advertising agency, joining us. They're actually going to do a whole session next week, next Wednesday, on buying media or using paid media, whether it's SEM, search engine marketing, or social or display or retargeting or other paid media formats that will help your business. So we'll have a whole session with them. The following week we have another marketing related session, which is with our partner Privy, and they're experts in email marketing specifically. So between Hawk Media talking about paid media, between Privy covering email, and hopefully today what you'll hear from us on branding, you'll get a good three webinar series on different marketing techniques and tips and guidance leading into the holidays here. And then of note is in 3 weeks time, on I think it's like the 28th of October, we're gonna have Mark Ray from our customer support organization joining us. So get all your questions ready for him. I know you guys always have a lot of good customer service questions. So Mark's going to be joining us and going through how our customer service organization is getting prepared for the holidays and how we look to continuously improve our customer service programs here for you. So again, if you have any questions, just put them in the chat window. Happy to take those, and Zlata's online to help answer some on the fly, and I'll look for some that make sense to discuss as a broader topic. And as always, we are recording the session so that if you have colleagues that can't make it, we'll send out the link so you can watch it at a later time or send it to them. Okay, so what are we covering today? So we'll cover a little bit of an intro on some of the things that we're working on. In particular, we're going to focus on what our team, the marketing team here at Gooten, does and how we're approaching things for our business. And then we'll go through kind of two big chunks on what it takes to build a brand and what are some of the tactics that you can use and apply in building your brand. Brand, tends to be this kind of like almost like sometimes nebulous concept, and so what Zlata and I were talking about was really how do we bring the concept of brand building down to some practical levels that you can do and take advantage of right away. So hopefully we'll cover that. Again, feel free to fire away with any questions as we go along, and we'll get started from there. So all right, let's dive right into Gooten Marketing. So the key point for us with our marketing is really what's our mission. I sometimes like to use the word purpose. Like why do we exist? Even it's not just to buy ads and do creative things. Although that's the fun part of doing marketing is getting to be really creative and promote the brand. But it's really about being like this megaphone or helping to amplify all the things that the company as a whole does. And so the way we've written it is we really, our goal in marketing specifically is to amplify the Gooten brand and everything that happens sort of behind the scenes to really help become your true partner. So you as our merchant partners are incredibly valuable to our business, right? We don't have a business without you. And so we really take it to heart to figure out what does it mean for us to be your partner, and how do we create that two-way connection with you. And so we're always trying to figure that out, and hopefully the VIM program is one step in the right direction to help achieve that. And then as part of this, the thing that we try to do from the marketing team again is how do we provide you with resources in the form of whether it's content or the experience across our site and so on to help you do the things that you need to do and let us sort of take care of things. And you might be seeing more of this one messaging phrase that we use. Actually, Zlata came up with it, so thanks to Zlata. I was going to say kudos to her for coming up with it. But we really want to strive for this notion of you sell, we fulfill. And we've really tried to get that mindset and focus out to folks, both internally and externally. So I took over the marketing team in March of this year, so been here just a little over 6 months. And when I started, the company really had a minimal marketing presence. There was really no media. There was certainly a very limited brand presence, almost no content, and certainly no social media. And I'm sure many of you, if you've been around working with us for some time, probably know all that to be very true. And what I tried to do in very short order was how do we address some of the most critical areas of marketing for you, and we identified that really as educational content. So instead of trying to come up and be cutesy and be funny and so on, and Zlata and I had a number of conversations because we were talking about what we should be doing in social, and social media as an example is a very fun, engaging platform. And my focus was really like, look, we got to get content out there that's useful for our merchants first, and like once we get a good baseline, then we can start to really have fun with the brand. But until we deliver on our value prop, it's really hard to do that. So we started with strategic content with a very educational focus, and do it from this mindset of what we call B2B2C. So we work with you as our business partner, and then you extend that out to your consumer customer. And so that was our initial focus on this journey. Since then, we've continued to grow things in the spirit of this notion of becoming your partner and working with you as a partner. We launched the VIM program in September. We really identify that we call our merchants partners, but we needed to walk the walk, so to speak. And so we created VIM not just as a marketing campaign, but something that we want to live and breathe and support as a whole company. And so VIM touches every aspect of the Gooten business, whether it's from sales to marketing to operations to support to finance, etc. VIM goes across our whole company. And so even though VIM is an external function, it forced us internally to really focus on how do we work better as a team to support our merchant partners. And so you can see how like a brand and marketing idea and concept really ended up impacting the whole business. And again, we just launched it in September. I know folks are just getting onboarded with it, and so there's probably still a lot of questions around it. And it's really think of it as it'll always be a work in progress. So we're going to strive to just keep making it better and better over time. And the more feedback you give us in terms of what you like or what you'd expect, we can obviously add that in. Tied to the VIM launch, the company had basically never updated their website since I think the beginning of the calendar year. So, for 9 months, there was the same website with the same content and the same things. And so Zlata as well on my team headed up that project too, to help revamp our whole website and try to create a better user experience. And so I'll show you some of the things that we did specifically on that as we come up, but just trying to revamp our whole website and structure things so it's a little bit cleaner looking and cleaner from a journey perspective was a big goal, and just getting that pushed through obviously was a challenge. And then as we look forward into 2021, as we get through the holiday season, the big thing is we have lots of different customers. We have thousands of merchant partners, and everyone is on different levels and have different needs. And so we really want to expand how we engage with folks. So instead of just, here's the same message for every single person or the same piece of content, different companies and businesses have different types of needs, and we really want to make sure we're creating the right alignment between what does someone, who's maybe in our insider or plus level of Vim need versus pro and elite and so on. And everyone has a different set of needs, and so we want to make sure that we're segmenting that out so that we can help people as they need the different kind of guidance. It looks like there was a quick question on Vim. Vim stands for Very Important Merchant, and that is our brand new loyalty program that we launched in September. So if you go into admin or our dashboard to where you manage your products and orders, you can now see your Vim status level and start understanding the benefits of you. Also go to the website, gooten.com/merchant/Vim. We'll drop that in the chat for you. You can see your different levels of benefits. And so like this whole webinar series is one form of a benefit. We have a bunch of different business partnerships where you get discounts or free offers and stuff from some of our partners, our business partners, to support you and so on. So we'll can keep talking about that later as needed. Okay, so as we move forward here, we wanted to get into this idea of what's a brand and how do we explain a brand, and we wanted to make it very practical and not just fluffy bunnies, as my team always hears me say. I'm definitely not the fluffy bunny kind of guy. So it's like I just want to very practical and pragmatic. So it's like, what's it take to build a brand? And so there's a lot of found this great quote for us to use, which is, your brand is what other people say about you when you're not in the room, at least according to Jeff Bezos. And so I think the key thing with that is it's about being memorable. So you want people to remember you and know you and understand what you do as a relationship to that brand. So a brand isn't a campaign or an advertisement or a blog post and so on. So we wanted to really make sure that a brand is something that encompasses all these different things and ultimately creates a emotional connection between an individual with a business. It's sort of like the glue that establishes the link between that either customer, partner, and the business. Okay, so what goes into a brand? And so there's kind of like these three major components: core values, what's your unique position, and perception. And so I like to think of these core values you saw as listed as like our mission statement, or I sometimes, I think I mentioned this, use the word purpose. Like, why does your company exist? Your company doesn't exist just to be a business to make money. That's usually one of the outcomes, but that's not the reason why you create a business. You create a business to solve a problem for people, and then the sort of the outcome is the fact that you make money and employ people and so on. And your brand also, great reference at the top, is it's not your logo or your tagline. It's truly what you fundamentally believe in and how you communicate that out to people. And that's something that's hard, right? Because a lot of what we're talking about here with brand building, most of us would get so busy with our jobs and the work that we have to get done, and as merchants, you're like just busy selling and making sure your customers are happy and so on. Or if you're designing too, then it's like, how do I design new products? That takes a lot of effort. What takes even more effort is taking that time to stand back and say, what do I want my brand to be? What do I want the experience? What do I want to be memorable when people come and interact and buy from me? It's not just a transaction. It's an experience that they have. And that experience cuts across all the different kinds of things that you do across your whole business. And so it starts with your core values. You really got to step back. And the cool thing for most of you, these are your businesses, and if you've ever worked in a big company, establishing core values at a big company is really hard because it's usually someone else's values, or it's the values that the board of directors pushes down on you that you should have. The cool thing about being an entrepreneur or being a smaller business or having your own business is that you get to define your core values of what you believe in and how you want your business to operate. And I think that's super cool. So think of core values as set your purpose and then explain that purpose to the world. Why do you exist? The next thing is, what's your unique proposition? Some people also say, what's your unique value proposition? But basically, what you're trying to answer the question of is like, what's your differentiator? What separates you from anyone else in the marketplace? And the answer hopefully isn't price. Price is usually not a good thing to do unless you're, I guess, like the 99-cent store. And your brand is all about price. But you want to do something or explain, something about your designs or what inspired you with your designs, and help establish again that emotional connection for your customers with you and your designs and the products that you're bringing to market. And so, and again, in the case of like a t-shirt, you can buy a t-shirt from thousands of different places. What makes your designs with your t-shirts or your mugs or your canvas or your wall art different than someone else's? And work on that emotional connection that people can have with you, and make sure you're sharing that out widely. Like, these aren't things to be like afraid to share. These are things you want to promote because this is what creates that third bucket, which is the perception or the memorable moments that people will have when they engage with you. And so I want to feel something when I buy a product. I want to feel good, or I want to feel excited or engaged or happy or satisfied. You want to figure out what that sort of leave behind emotionally is for you with your customers. If you have any questions, again, feel free to keep dropping them in. I'm just going to keep going through this and kind of get to the next pieces. And thanks, Lotta, for helping take some of the answers as well for me. Okay, so having a brand, why do you have it? So it basically establishes you, right? It's more than you're an individual now. You're a business. You have, more to the entity. You build credibility. When someone buys something from you, you want to make sure that they feel that, wow, okay, I could trust this company. If I have a problem, I can go back to them. I know who these people are. I somehow connect with them. Again, we use this term memorable or emotional connection because then what you're doing by building this brand is doing it in a way where I, as a consumer, want to have this connection with the brand, that I then can share that information with someone else, right? A referral, which is going to drive more business for you. And so it was interesting. Zlata and I were talking about this in putting this deck together. It's like, think of all the brands that are memorable to you and why they're memorable. It's not just that like they had a cool ad and that was it. It was, wow, they stand for something that you believe in. Like they make a, whether it's a political statement or some kind of charitable statement. Like, we were talking about different brands that like Bonobos or Tom's Shoes that give back as part of everything that they do. Consumers want to be associated with those kinds of brands because it's something that they believe in and they want to support. And so having something like that as part of your business, creates that connection. So, you may be in the design space and designing really cool canvas, but like, is there something that you can do as part of your business that, maybe you can find a way of giving back some of the artwork that you're producing to places that typically don't have artwork. So think of like a homeless shelter that it has just 4 white walls and it's really drab. How do you provide some of your artwork into a place like that, or to different centers, social worker centers that are helping people? And like, imagine what one piece of your artwork could do for someone. So it creates that memorable moment and so on. And then ultimately, your brand's what attracts customers. So as you talk about your brand in social media and amplify it out through all the different channels that you're going to share your information, that's terrific. And that's what's going to attract new customers, because they're going to learn about your story. And your story isn't, like I said, just the, oh, I sell these t-shirts with this design, or these canvas wraps, or these blankets, or what have you. You're selling an engagement, you're selling an experience for people with you. And you definitely want to think about it that way, because people, when they buy something from you, they want to feel that emotional connection, and they're going to want to share that. They're going to be excited that, like, wow, look at, I got this really cool artwork, from this online shop, and they're going to tell their friends about it, and they're going to post it on social media, and they're going to say, wow, I got this from this great store. And then people naturally will want to know, what store, where did I get it? I want to get something similar. It all has this notion of, like, I talk a lot about creating momentum, and it creates momentum for your business. All right, so kind of keeping going. One of the things that we tried to focus on, continuously try. I know you guys will all keep us honest. We're still a work in progress. So, the thing that we wanted to highlight is what we call the Gooten way. Internally, we think of, like our way of how we do supply chain and fulfillment. We think what we do is unique. And our challenge that we discussed internally was, like, we think it's unique, but, like, I don't know if anyone else does, or I don't even know if anyone else cares or even knows what we do. So part of our big goal is to be, as a company as a whole, more transparent with what we do and how things work, so that you come along for the journey, hopefully, with us. And that starts to become the Gooten way, which is, like, we want to be out there in front, figuring out how shipping is going to work, or tax is going to work, or better ways of ensuring quality of production. We have experts in all these different disciplines, and it was almost like the best kept secret. And hopefully through this webinar series and the blogs that we're doing, we're starting to demystify all that and share with you what's really happening behind the scenes, and give you a way to sort of go along on this Gooten way journey with us, as we figure out what's needed and how we can overcome the problems and challenges in the industry, and find better ways to support you as our merchants. So we go back to that phrase that I love so much, that Zlata created, which is, like, we want you to just design and sell, and we'll do all the fulfillment behind the scenes. And if we can have that value exchange where you can trust us that we're doing our job behind the scenes for you, and you can focus on just the things you need to do to create more designs and create more sales with your customers, then I think we're helping each other out. Okay, so one of the biggest things that helps with all of this is content, of course. You might have heard the phrase, content is king. And so we certainly believe in that. And as I mentioned when I first took over in March, we had no content, and content certainly at Gooten was not king. I think maybe we're close to being a good prince, in terms of content, but I feel like we've made a ton of progress. Hopefully you've seen the progress. I'd be curious if you guys feel that we've ramped up our content game for you over the last few months. Quick focus group of folks on the webinar. If you think we've done a decent job of that, please let us know. If you definitely let us know what other areas of content we should be covering, and so on. But the big thing is we've started to look at different kinds of content, different topics, different ways of explaining things. And so, as we listed out here, it's really about trial, test, and measure. So testing out different things, and then measuring, are we getting engagement or the activity that we're looking for? And, just trying to do more of that and engage with you in you as our customer base, our merchant base, in new ways, and across all different channels. So it's not saying we're only going to be on Facebook or Instagram. we internally use the phrase Gooten should be everywhere, and our job on the marketing team is make sure that wherever you are, whatever platforms you enjoy using, that Gooten should have a presence there to be able to engage with you in different ways and provide you the resources that you need to be successful. So one of the big things is, we'll say it as change is good. So literally for 9 months, our website looked something like what you see on the left-hand side. And, we had a running internal joke about the man bun guy. If you could see, see up here, I think this is funny. I thought so. Was like we had this picture of this guy with this man bun, and it was always like, what's the man bun guy doing? And, we just realized that, after 9 months, we definitely needed a change and be able to highlight some new messaging, be able to highlight more of what we're doing and more of what we do to work with folks. And so, so the left side here was our old web design. Our new web design, we created this kind of like header bar or carousel so that we can have different items being featured, different blog posts, different content. And then we also changed the content right on the homepage. So instead of like giving you super details right away about how our platform works, it's really like, hey, what are the benefits and where can we help you? And if you've noticed, we also changed all the nav. So if you kind of look at across the top, we had different links up at the top prior. Now we have a new set of links, and this is going to continuously evolve so that as we think about customers and merchant partners in different ways with different needs, it should just get more granular so that when you come to our website and you're looking for something, it should be easy for you to get to what you need versus having to, I'll say, run and put the burden on you to try to find what you want. This isn't, the Costco experience of running around and discovering things. When you come to our website, we're a resource for you. You should be able to get to what you want right away and not have to spend a bunch of time on it. And so, our team definitely takes feedback seriously. So if you have comments and suggestions of things that you'd like to see on our website or you'd expect to see on our website, definitely let us know. We aggregate all that up. We talk about it all the time. And I think we now have a good process that Zlata has implemented so that we can now more easily get updates and changes to the website. I know there's been a lot of comments in the chat a little bit about products and so on. So one of the things that's high on my list to work on, hopefully for Q4, calendar year Q4 here, so up through December and then into Q1 of next year, is revamping the product section and the product catalog. We know you come to Gooten to look at what products we have and find new things, and we know we can be doing a better job there. And so, I'll demystify that right now and say it's high on my list to make sure we do that. We have a photo shoot planned, I think, with Zlata coming up shortly, where we'll have some new images, especially in the apparel section. So we hopefully have taken your feedback so far and are working to address those things so that you have a better experience on our site. And again, we believe in change is good, and so we're just going to keep changing and working to meet your needs as best we possibly can. Obviously doing that while maintaining our brand and so on. And I think someone did give us a shout out for Man Bun Guy, but it was time to put him to rest and come up with some new images, and we'll keep keep evolving that all the time. So, all right. So how do you build your brand? Well, it kind of comes into, ultimately it'll be about 6 things on this slide that you'll see. But the first thing is, again, you have to take this step back on building your brand and really think about what do you want to be, right? I use this phrase again, define your purpose. Why do you exist? If your business didn't exist, would anyone miss it? And you want to make sure you're filling a gap in people's lives. And again, you may think, oh, we just sell t-shirts, or oh, we just sell canvas wraps or something, or blankets. every business has a purpose of being, and you just have to find yours and work to explain that to people. So definitely define who you are and what your story is. I'll even give you an example from like as we come up here, but many of you had expressed over time, I saw all the feedback when I started, was, we had people kind of jokingly, I think jokingly, at least I'll take it jokingly, we're like, what's a Gooten, or who's a Gooten? And no one knew what our name stood for. And so one of the things that we worked on as a team was, I tracked down our founders. I talked to Brian, our CEO, talked to Maddie, folks that had been around since the beginning of the business. It was like, why did we come up with the name Gooten, and like where'd that came from? And I'll explain that in a slide here. But part of it was just, we saw that people didn't even know why we existed or who we were or how we came up with the name or did it stand for anything. And so we brought some definition to that. So as part of that, this whole brand journey, it's also knowing your audience. So we know that the people that we engage with most are you all in the merchant base. So you're all direct-to-consumer merchants, and so, some of you also may be agencies that work with other direct-to-consumer merchants. So, we're working with business clients at the end of the day, and so we want to make sure that we understand who you are, and that, again, you all have different kinds of needs and requirements, and so it's not a one-size-fits-all. So we really want to make sure that, like with the VIM program, helps us create different benefits and structures for different levels based off of where you are as a business. So for our highest level of VIM members, our elites, these are big businesses with real supply chain challenges. And so we want to make sure that, their needs are addressed in a certain way, just as on the, insider and plus levels, where your businesses are just getting going, that you have a different set of resources available to you that help you build your business up from the level that it's at, and hopefully give you the resources to climb the ladder with us and get into plus and pro levels, and maybe one day into the elite level as well. But the key is you got to know who your customer is and segment them out. And I'll just give you one more comment on this. Like, even as it relates to us, we know that even within each level of VIM, as we've started to segment our customer base, the other key thing is you're also all in different industries with different products. So we have folks that are in the entertainment industry, to the merchandising space with licensed goods and products, all the way to the music industry. And then we have a ton of just individual designers. And so as part of all that, we've been doing some lunch and learns with some of the design communities that are out there to help folks get going. And if you guys are starting to get to know me a little bit, I love doing this kind of stuff. I love being out with our customers and our merchant partners. So if you guys ever, have an audience of community members that are needing some, want to do a lunch and learn with us, definitely reach out and we'll try to accommodate your request. But we're trying to help, we really want to make sure we're helping the design community see that Gooten is a viable business partner and solution for your goals of building your business and bringing your designs to market. So definitely want to make sure that we're supporting you there. And so again, it's knowing your audience and knowing that every piece of that has different needs and requirements and how you're addressing it. All right, so tell your story. So I mentioned this before, and one of the things with our story was, again, we used to literally get this phrase of like, what's a Gooten? And as your head of marketing and you're getting this phrase, like I was like, this is not good when people don't even know what we are, and people are asking, what's a Gooten? It's our business, first of all. So we really wanted to make sure we told our story. So now if you go to our website and go to our About page, and we've had I think a blog post or two about it, we actually explain the history of where the name came from. If you hadn't seen it, it was actually inspired by, the name of the company was inspired by Johannes Gutenberg, who originally created the printing press. and really modernize the way people did printing back in the day. And so, you know, the cool thing about our story is it's maintained all the way through to today, where, you know, we believe our mission and our purpose is to reinvent the way print on demand works, and we use that in our messaging. And again, we draw on that inspiration that Johannes Gutenberg had on, you know, improving and reinventing the way printing was done many years ago, into now, you know, we want to reinvent the way you know, printing is done in the modern manufacturing world. And so that's our inspiration. And again, it's important for us to get that story out to folks, and you know, let you know, speaks to this whole notion of transparency and seeing, you know, what's going on behind Gooten, and, you know, why we exist, what's our purpose. So one of the other things as part of all this is to simplify your visual assets as well. So Zlata is great at this, I'll say. If you guys haven't met or spoken with Zlata yet, she's sort of my right hand on the marketing team for all of our branding and communications and design and so on. She's got an incredible eye, and she herself is a designer. And so besides being great at managing our website and content and leading our all of those efforts and so on, our branding efforts, just having her visual style has been really good, because you know, I guess I have a little bit of the you know, shiny object thing, which is like, oh, that looks great, let's do that. And I think she always reins me in with, okay, no, it's not consistent, let's make sure, you know, things are simple and clean, and so on, and not do the shiny object drill and constantly be changing. So definitely simplify things. And, you know, as part of that, it's making yourself memorable. So there's a consistency element to it. And so when someone recognizes or sees a visual image, they can immediately associate it with you and your brand and your company. Consistency, as I just said, is key, not just in visual design, but in messaging and in all your content. Doesn't mean everything needs to be the same, because there's a practical side of consistency, which is in like SEO, or in the world of SEO, if you're familiar with it. You want to be consistent, but still maintain a little bit of differentiation so that Google picks up the different pieces. So if every story, every phrase looks the same every single time, Google actually, you know, won't pick up as much content from you. So you want to maintain consistency in message, but the word choices and the actual delivery of it can be a little bit different. And then I'm huge on this, you know, it's something I, you know, certainly brought in, which is like, you have to be able to measure your results. And so when I started, again, they had limited content and, you know, very limited blogs, but they had a couple, you know, and I just started asking the simple questions like, well, how many people have read that article? And the interesting thing, the answer when I started was like, well, I don't think we got any traffic to it. And so I was like, kind of like, why do we do it then? Like, why do we spend someone's time writing a whole article, getting it posted and so on, and then no one even read it? That seems like a waste of time. And so, you know, part of, you know, what I tried to instill in our team is like, look, whatever we're going to do, let's make sure we have an audience for it, because if we don't have an audience, then we shouldn't be doing it. It's probably not even needed to be done. So, you know, the key is let's find out from our merchants what they want, what they need from us, and then let's make sure we're helping deliver on those things so that they create value for you. And so that's where, again, I constantly want to hear from you guys about what you need, what topics we should be covering, what are the things that will help you be successful, so that we can produce those pieces. And you know, again, we're here to help you build your business. All right, so what are some of the tactics? I'm just going to have a quick sip of coffee here. Hopefully this is going well for you guys. And again, feel free to fire away with questions and so on. All right, so we talked about this notion of being consistent and you know, covering the right topics and stuff. And so one of the very first things I did when I started here was created a simple document. I call it a messaging framework. I delivered it in PowerPoint, so it doesn't literally have to be a Word document, but I put this all in PowerPoint. But basically, one of the things that I observed in starting was like every person in the company knew relatively what Gooten did and a way of explaining it, but it was all explained with different words in different ways. And so as part of creating consistency, it was just make sure that there's a common messaging framework. And then we presented that across the whole company. So the sales team, the support team, the product teams, all the core folks that end up interacting with either our customers or potential customers or the external world in some manner. We wanted to make sure that everyone was consistent in this. And so we defined, all the things that are unique about what we feel are unique about our business. We defined all the ways we're going to communicate with different kinds of customers. And it was actually through that journey that when I was interviewing folks inside the company about Gooten, that everyone kept referencing to our merchants as partners, and we even say that our partner team or partner growth team. So we use the word partner a lot, and again, this was back in March. I just asked a simple question of like, well, do our partners know that they're partners, and like, what are we doing to make you as our merchant partner feel that you are a partner? And everyone kind of looked around, and it was a tough thing to answer. And so what came out of that discussion was, if we're going to use the words partner, and that's how we want to reference things, well, we have to walk the walk. And so that was the spark that gave us the idea to create the VIM program, and use that as a way to hopefully give back and make the partnership a two-way street, not just a one-way street. I've used this phrase before with other businesses I've worked with, where they've like, oh yeah, we have we call our customers partners. I'm like, are they really partners, or are they just customers? Like, if they're just customers, let's just call them customers. But if they're partners, then you have to deliver on that value proposition. And so out of this messaging framework, I learned about, like I said, the story of Gooten, where we came from. We were able to define our purpose. We realized that we needed to do more on the partner front and showing that value back. And so it was a great process to go through. And now as we move forward and get ready for 2021, we're revisiting that and figuring out how do we refine and upgrade our messaging so that it appeals, now with new information that we've been learning over time. Data, I've mentioned this heavily, but you got to start using data. You got to understand, what's most important. What are people interacting with, like on your website and so on. I don't know if any of you use tools like Hotjar, which is a heat mapping tool for your website. It's free, by the way. It's a great way of just seeing a heat map. If you're not familiar with what a heat map is, it's basically like a view of how people are interacting with your website, so you can see what they're really clicking on during a session, where they're spending most of their time, what are they mousing over, basically, and how are they scrolling down through a page. So you combine that with like Google Analytics data, and you can really understand what people are doing. And I'll just give you one thing that we've learned. A lot of you come to our website, Gooten.com, just to click on the login button to go to our dashboard. And so we're working to, make our dashboard, what we call admin, more prominent now, so it makes it easier to interact with and get to the things that you need to get to quicker. So definitely utilize data across the board. And then something that we've been working on ourselves. And so these are, not just tips for, like you to do and not us. These are all things we're doing ourselves. So brand partnerships. So as part of the VIM program, you might have seen, we've aligned ourselves with various businesses, whether it was Avalara on the tax side, or you'll hear, like I said, in the next two webinars from Hawk Media and Privy. And then I think we also have Wevo, and I did a little promo video this morning for another one of our brand partnerships with something called Shirt Lab, which is a conference series that we're going to provide you a discount code to leverage as part of the VIM program. So that'll be coming out shortly. So by establishing brand partnerships, you get your brand now associated with other established brands. And so it creates like this halo effect. So even if you think of like, oh, my brand's just a standalone brand, it shouldn't be. You should find alignment somewhere, whether it's with an artist community or a charitable effort or some kind of promotional thing. You want to get your brand associated with other brands, because that's ultimately how you get more brand awareness and you start to scale, and ultimately all that leads to is more customers as well. The other topic as part of tactics is PR. And now PR doesn't just mean hiring a PR firm and spending a bunch of money every month to do a bunch of work for you. PR is overall media relations, and not everyone can afford. PR firms are expensive. They're between $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 a month. That's a lot of money. And so what I always like to tell people about PR, and there was a lot of, I had this chat earlier about this, is PR can be done for free. And so I've worked with some smaller companies over my years, and the thing is, you don't have to be a PR firm or a PR expert to go figure this out. What you're trying to do in PR is just basically get someone else to notice you and write about you or provide a link to you. And so, what I've done with other companies is simply make a list of interesting blogs or podcasts or research articles or editors. It doesn't have to be the Wall Street Journal, right? Think about what's relevant in your industry and how you take advantage of that. And basically make a short list of 20, 30, 40 bloggers, podcasters, trade publications that you want to be associated with, and just simply reach out. And I'll say this, 9 times out of 10, they would love to talk to you. Everyone's looking and starving for new content. Remember my phrase earlier, content is king. Content is king, not just on your site. It can exist somewhere else. And so feel free to reach out to folks and just introduce yourself and tell them your story. This is where having that messaging framework already ready to go, because they're going to ask you for like, hey, tell us your story, tell us what you stand for, tell us what you do. Having that consistency means you don't have to rewrite it every single time, right? You can very easily copy and paste it into an email, get people what they need so that they can talk about you and promote you and so on. So you can do all of this for cheap or for free. You don't have to hire a fancy PR firm. Social media plays into this in a huge way, right? Hopefully you've seen as a whole that our social media game is ramped up. I think we're posting across channels at least once or sometimes twice a day, depending on what's going on or what's coming out. We're trying to be more transparent and provide more insights. And as I mentioned up front, our initial strategy was to be more educational than just kind of fun. And so now that I think we've established a pretty good baseline, hopefully you're seeing that we're also trying to have fun with our brand and have fun with some of the content that we have, and doing it in the I'll say the Gooten way, right? We're not going too crazy. We're not Gooten isn't a direct-to-consumer brand, so we're a B2B brand, and so we still need to maintain a certain image and style for what we do, and make sure that people, like yourself, see us as again, consistently trustworthy, that you can rely on us, you can count on us to do what we need to do. And we want that expressed in our social media as well, but just do it in some fun ways. And so I know we've had, I think one of the fun things that we did, I loved it. I think everyone internally actually was guessing, and you guys probably could relate, but we did a quiz on how many puzzle pieces actually come in a Gooten puzzle. And it actually came out of an internal question, because I don't think anyone internally knew either how many puzzle pieces were in a puzzle. And, it was also highlighted that we didn't have that information on our website. So, so I think some of you were able to figure that out. And I think we gave out some sample credits for folks that got the right answer. So, hopefully that helps. But have fun with social media. There's a lot. Oh, Linda in the chat, you got one of those. Awesome. Congrats. So we're trying to do more of that stuff to stay engaged and have fun across social media. And then the last thing, oh, one other note just on social media is social media isn't just for your branded hashtags and terms and aliases, but if you follow any of our executives on like LinkedIn or Twitter, and all of the executive contacts are on our About page now. You can see all the executives in the company and all their LinkedIn profiles and Twitter handles. You can start following all the content that they're putting out. So like Nate, who runs our shipping department, you can follow him and learn all about the stuff that he's following about shipping. Or Mark Ray's there for customer service, and Andy Need, who's our new head of supply chains there. So everyone is now being encouraged to promote and post content at the executive level, not just from our branded aliases alone. So really looking at social media holistically. And then the final piece to this is really newsletters. Hopefully you've seen and started getting more of our newsletters. We're working on a newsletter to make sure we get it delivered every single month and have the right kinds of articles and links for you in there, trying to feature new products that we're adding to our product catalog there, highlighting customer successes, highlighting new content that we've created, highlighting other things that you should be aware of, that hopefully, again, with the goal of everything helping you to grow your business. So hopefully you're finding the newsletters valuable as well, and so on. And again, I'll offer it one more time. If you have topics or things that you want us to do a better job of covering, either on the website or with content, definitely send that along. I know we get a lot of feedback around support and product related items, like functional product within admin. We pass that feedback on to the product team and the support team, but from the marketing side, we definitely would love to know what kind of content and things we can be doing from the marketing side as well. Okay, so kind of, excuse me, wrapping up here. Here's some pitfalls of things to avoid. The key thing is, you don't want to say that you have your brand purpose and so on, and then like do things that are completely counter to that. You want to make sure you're staying focused there. Excuse me, let me have a sip. Losing my voice here today. So you want to make sure you stay on point, stay consistent, and look, you're never going to deliver 100% on your brand and your purpose to every single person. There's always going to be some kind of issues and so on, and it's how you handle those issues and challenge that further cement your brand. People, we're all consumers, we all deal with things, and the brands that do a good job of communicating and providing information are the ones that you end up staying loyal to, and we know at the Gooten side we can do a better job always. And Mark Ray, who heads up our support team, like I said, will be on in 3 weeks, and he's got a rough job to do, and trying to support everyone and all your challenges and stuff, using our tools. But we understand that and recognize that, and we just hope that you continue to give us the opportunity to improve. And we do take all of the feedback seriously. And I know some of you have some, issues with us, time to time and so on. And we understand that, but we are hopefully making improvements across the board. And, it's, I'll say this is one of those things where it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's not going to be done overnight. It's something that is just part of our DNA now, and we just have to continue to evolve it. The other thing that, just coming up to avoid is the holidays doesn't just mean Christmas. Like, we have Halloween coming up, we have Thanksgiving coming up, we have other things in between. Columbus Day is Monday, if you, look at that. You have certainly Hanukkah, you have New Year's, you have other things in between. So make sure you think of the holiday season that's upon us. Amazon Prime Day is next week on the 13th and 14th. And, there's even talk about them starting their Black Friday sales on like October 28th. So the holidays is starting. So really get ready for it. Make sure that you work with folks, to your customers and so on. Something that we're very conscientious of now that we have more resources and we have a focus on emails and things, is also not bombarding you. And so, we don't want to be too in your face and too, like getting 8 emails from us every single day. We do try to balance what we call service delivery emails that are coming from our product and functionality with marketing and other kind of emails that are on the support side. And so Zlata actually on my team owns kind of the overall structure for how and when we should be communicating with our merchant partners. And so we're looking through that right now and trying to figure out the right cadence so that we're providing value, we're being helpful, but we're not bombarding. And then a couple things, just given that the holiday season is on us, make sure you put an expiration date on seasonal designs. I think everyone knows, and certainly covered this in the shipping webinar a couple weeks ago, shipping's going to be crazy this year with everything that's going on in the world. And so what you don't want to do is have be selling Christmas hats in January. So you want to make sure that just kind of more of a short-term thing, which is just make sure when your seasonal designs will end, and your kind of next kind of New Year type stuff starts to kick in. And then the last thing you want to avoid is really starting too late. If you think the holiday season starts Black Friday, after Thanksgiving at the end of November, in some sense you're already too late. Amazon Prime Day is next week, folks. That means Amazon's going to be blasting people to start buying online and getting ready for holiday purchases. And so you got to get started right away. Okay, so kind of to wrap up here, your brand is your reputation, and it's something you got to invest in. And it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. You got to step back and think about what you're doing, how you want your brand to be perceived, what's your purpose for existing, and then work to share that with folks and let people in, be more transparent. All the things I'm describing are things we're trying to do ourselves. So are we perfect? We're definitely far from perfect, but I do believe that we've made tremendous progress just since March, and we hope that you've seen the progress, and we hope that you continue to come along on the journey with us as we continue that progress, certainly through the holiday season, and then into next year. We're really excited about some of the things that we're working on and ways that we can continue to help you out. So with that, I think we're kind of out of time. Here's the link to, if you have some commentary on the marketing team and what we can be doing better, please do send us some notes and feedback and guidance, especially like what content you want from us. We want to hear from you about all that kind of stuff. Here's the link to the rest of our webinars. Like I said, next week we have a great session from Hawk Media on how to use paid media. And then the following week we have Privy on email marketing, and then after that, the big one, Mark Ray from our customer support team, here to answer all your questions. So that should be a fun and lively one, I'm sure, because I know you guys have had some challenges, but he's doing his best to work through it and put new processes and procedures in, and just get better at it. So. I'm going to wrap up with that just because I know we're kind of over the hour. And again, send us an email with any feedback. Hopefully you appreciate what we're doing. We're trying to do this for you. So, if you have other suggestions, do send those along. And with that, I'm going to call it an adjourn.